power of many.
So I think I just watched some masterful episodes of TV just now. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Andor, I'm not gonna lie, are incredible. They're great. A lot of people talk about how Andor is slow and boring, and I never really understood that. I thought every episode of Andor had so much depth in world building and character and motivation and intrigue. I love Andor. I had problems with the first 3 episodes. It didn't feel like the last season of Andor, and it definitely didn't feel like 4, 5, and 6, and it definitely didn't feel like 7, 8, and 9. But yeah, these 3 episodes especially have solidified Andor as favorite Star Wars, maybe second favorite. Empire Strikes Back still really fucking good, but it's just incredible. Andor is incredible. 7, 8, 9 was a showing on how to create characters and make them interesting and then pay them off in an interesting way. And we had a lot of payoffs. We had a lot of characters just being gone in one way or another. And we had a lot of character moments for people that are still around that were great. I loved these episodes. I loved them. They were so good. And it paid off for me. A character is my favorite character, not in just Andor, but in all of Star Wars. And that's Syril. That'd be surprising to you. A lot of people would, oh, Luthen is your favorite. Yeah, Luthen's great, obviously. But Syril is one of those characters that in the beginning of the series was so good. He had such a strong start, and, he continued to have a strong start as a character. And then, the first 3 episodes of season 2, I was kind of worried. I was like, oh no, I hope they're not, turning him into a goofball. But then you get why they set him up the way they did in those 3 episodes. But I want to talk about Syril first and how they paid off his character and how incredible it was. So Syril is interesting because he is a character that cares about justice, right? He believes in justice and order. He believes that needs justice in order to strive and thrive. So when, in the first 3 episodes of season 1, there's this guy that is named Andor, Cassian Andor, and he murders 2 basically police officers. And to Syril, he's like, wait, this is a great offense. 2 people were just murdered. Everyone around him seemed to not care, except, some of the people he's trying to recruit. And to him, that was very important. Him, capturing Andor and taking him and putting him to justice was important. Not because he's this evil, disgusting tyrant, but because he believes in justice and order, right? In the system that he's been, growing up in. That's what he believes in. That's what his mom tells him. All this propaganda. Well, not really. I mean, it's totally justified for him to want to arrest Andor at that point. And then, he does that, and then he completely fails the mission. Because of his failing of that mission, he has consequences as a character. He is removed of all of his rank, and he basically has to go back to his mom and live with his mom. That's where he's at the end of episode, at the start of episode 4, because it's like, oh, well, you failed, and now you're going to get punished for your failure. And a lot of characters don't really have that happen in shows, but that's what happened to Syril, the villain or the antagonist for that portion. So he goes to his mom. He gets nagged about how he's a failure and a loser, and he has to take to get back to the position that he wants to get back to. He needs to have get the support from his mom to help him out. He gets that help from his mom, and through that, he's constantly trying to get to the higher ups by talking about this Cassian Andor who killed these 2 officers, and through that, he meets Dedra. Syril is a character who's constantly trying to climb his way up because he's trying to constantly get to the position where he can punish people for, the injustices that they do. So he's a character that tries to climb his way up the ladder throughout the series. So he meets Dedra, and through that, he meets another person that he thinks is just like him, who despises injustice and wants to, put a fist down on it. And once he meets that person, he's infatuated with her. She also has like a lot of traits similar to his mother. She's a very strong character. Dedra's incredibly strong. So through that, he meets her, and he tries, as a character, he's intelligent. He tries to find a way to get her to help him out. So through that, he saved her life, so he can climb that ladder. Not just like socially through the government body, but also relationship wise. He climbed the ladder through a relationship. And then season 2, we get him doing actually get into a position where he is like a big part of this empire plan. So he meets the Gormans, he meets the rebellion in Gorman, and he tries to gain their trust, and he does. It works for years, and through that, him in his mind, he's doing something for justice, right? He's doing this so that he can help the empire, because these people in the rebellion, they're awful, they're bad, they're murderers, they steal, they're not good people, they're doing bad things, they're trying to disrupt government. This is bad, and we need to stop this. That's what he's thinking in his mind, because Dedra's not telling him the true plan. The true plan is to get these people to fight back so they can slaughter them, so they can take their land, so they can destroy their world and take the minerals in the core to make lenses for the Death Star. But Syril doesn't know this. He's not a part of this, so he doesn't understand what's happening behind the scene, because Dedra is hiding this from him. But the great thing about Syril as a character is the moment, because a lot of shows they don't keep the consistency of their characters. Their characters are inconsistent constantly. Syril has been a consistent character in his worldview and his values this entire series, and I love the showrunner. I love the writers for this, because it's really easy to forget about why their characters are where they're at and why they're doing the things they're doing. So as soon as Syril realizes that this Gorman plot is a lot different than he thought it was, that this is not for righteous justice, this is for selfish gain. As soon as he realizes this, he is angry, and you see it in Syril's performance when he's talking and screaming at Dedra, and she's shaking. And the first time you see Dedra like scared, and the first time you see Syril angry, like screaming, it's so well done. Syril's shift of like, all of you are not who I thought you were. You're not doing this for justice. You guys are evil people. You're bad people, and I took a part in that. And you see it. He runs out, and as soon as everyone starts getting slaughtered, he's at that point of like, what did I just do? And if you look back at it, it kind of reminds you of what happened in episode 3 of season 1, where his face is just like in shock of like, I failed. This is what I did. And it kind of is shot for shot, the same thing. It's really interesting if you look back at the first season and how he looks at that same exact moment where everyone is, there's so much destruction and everyone's dying around him. And then probably the best moment in the series for me is when he sees Andor. Andor is about to kill Dedra, and Syril charges him and like unknowingly saves Dedra's life, but also charged the man that started it all, the man that is the reason why he's here, the man that is the injustice that he thinks about. And he's taking all of that anger and frustration out on him. And this fight was so brutal between Andor and Syril. It was such a good, visceral fight. It was brutal, and just loved the choreography, the action, the camera work. It was so good in between these two characters. And, probably my favorite moment in the series again is when Syril he's picking up the gun, about to kill Andor, and Andor looks at him and says, "Who are you?" Syril puts his gun down and gets shot in the face. The reason for why he's here, the reason why he got to this position, he used Andor all throughout the series to gain positions of power, used Andor's name. This is the guy that he's wanted to put to justice this entire time. Doesn't even know his name. Doesn't even remember him. That's just a perfect moment for Syril. Syril dies at the realization of, what did I do this for? This man doesn't even remember me. What is all of this about? And he dies with that realization because the Gorman, leader, one of the Gorman leaders, kills him. And I think that was a perfect ending for Syril as a character. And at first, I was like, "No, Cyril's gone." Like I love the character, but then I was immediately like, "Well, makes sense. Makes perfect sense." Like that's a great end to Syril as a character. That was the perfect point to kill Syril. It was so good, so masterful, in my opinion. Syril as a character, and I could talk about Syril for so long, about the intrigue of Syril and why he is so interesting and so just good, in my opinion. Such a good character. But there's also two other things that I think I need to talk about. I think Bix and Andor's relationship, and Bix's end as a character, was really good. Also, I think Bix is a character that went through a lot of torment and anguish. Her being tortured last season, and then her almost being essayed this season, and her realization that this empire needs to end. It needs to stop because more people will be harmed like her. And she understands that Andor is a character, because Andor is a character that doesn't really want to be a part of this fight. He wants to, leave with his mom at the season 1. He wants to leave with Bix in season 2. Why? Because he doesn't want to do this. This isn't what he wants to do with his life. But Biggs obviously understands that, like, where else are they gonna go? This is the Empire, and we need to stop this threat, just like Andor's mom understood. So what does she do? She leaves, and I think it was perfect ending for Bix. Hopefully, I think we'll never see her again. I think Bix will never see again, because I think it's a perfect end. She leaves Andor because she understands that if I'm around him, that he will want to go. He'll want to leave. He'll always be worried about me. And I think that's a great end for Bix. And Mon Mothma joining the rebellion finally. Episode 8, 9 was also incredible. These set of episodes are incredible. Episode 9 just being like Mon Mothma giving her speech about the Gorman empires after the massacre. The Gormans after the massacre. It was such a great speech. The actress that plays Mon Mothma is incredible. And then Andor taking her to Luthen and them. It was just all so good. These set of episodes, again, perfect arc for these characters, for Andor, for Syril, for Mon Mothma, for Bix. Perfect arc for the Gormans, even. Great battle, great actions. And yeah, this is just so good. This is the best Star Wars is. And hopefully you guys watch it.